How do you know me? Do you know me from this place? Is that how you know me?
Facebook.
Oh, okay.
I just see you always with families and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so the whole point of this podcast is I kind of grew up with a troubled past. That's why it's the Troubled Past podcast.
Right.
I was what you would consider a bad kid, even though I don't think there are bad kids. I think that there's
few.
There's just trauma and there's kids that aren't being heard. Yeah. So I decided to start this to kind of bring awareness to my story, kind of get it all out there, admit to all the bad stuff, for one, so no one can ever use it against me. And for two, to actually bring awareness and hopefully help people understand differently.
Sure.
And I always see you with like families doing, what I figured it was like the mediated visits, basically.
Right. So I do visit coaching and family time supervision. So that's where you work with the whole family. Like if the kids are in foster care and help them to go back to mom and dad or just mom. And then I also just work with kids that have had run-in with the law already. You know, a couple of people that I've worked with, they were like maternal death cases. So mom died and then they're, kind of bouncing around in foster care or like trying to work it out so that they can go with a relative.
Wow, so I never even thought of that. So if the mom passes and the dad's not around, they just automatically get thrown into foster care?
If there isn't family that's available to take them, that's what happens. They go to foster care. And I think that we hear like all the numbers of overdoses and the fentanyl crisis. So if you hear a number like, I don't even know what a current number is, but 2,000 people in Colorado, just think how many children that affects.
Yeah.
A lot of those people are parents that are overdosing.
And that's not something you really think about. You always think about the person. You don't really think about the family as much,
right.
Which is...
Right.
Yeah, I've never really thought about that.
Yeah, the fentanyl crisis has thousands of co-victims, for sure.
And then those kids just get put into the system because of something that their parents did.
Right. So, yeah. So if mom or dad overdoses, the other one is, like you said, not around, whether they're incarcerated or they just haven't been part of the child's life, it becomes a whole process of finding the other parent, finding... kinship placement, or they might just end up going into foster care, maybe be adopted, maybe just age out of foster care.
That is sad.
Yeah, it's really sad.
I've never really thought of it like that. So a lot of that's the type of stuff that I feel like creates what people would call bad, because you're just angry and sad and you're confused and you don't know what to do with that pent up just all those feelings.
Right. Just all the grief and loss has to come out somehow.
And nobody really takes the time to figure it out. They just kind of just push you away and ship you off. And
right. So, and that is like part of what I do is like just like meet with those kids, do things with those kids, just so that they're staying kind of like, in contact with a constant person. In most cases, there is family that was like kind of on the periphery or like understood what was going on. So, I mean, that's a good thing. But it's a big impact on a family too to take in another person.
Yeah, especially if you're not expecting it, and there's a lot of people that'll step up and they just have to figure it out in the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
And
sometimes, like, kids, like, they have a lot to think about. Like, do they want to take the last name of, of that person, of, like, whoever family member might have a different last name? Do they want to have the same last name as the other kids? Do they want to call them their brothers and sisters or their cousins? I mean, like, all of those things are, like, just part of, like, processing that, like, nothing's prepared any of us for that, to think about those things or do those things.
Yeah, there might be. I was gonna say there's probably not many books on stuff like that, or no. There's not much to help you get through something like that.
Yeah, and I think sometimes I think we kind of imagine what it would be like to adopt a child, but you're adopting a child that is like coming from just this world where they do remember their mom, they do remember their whole past life, and they may not feel like that they're very lucky to go to this new family. I mean, it can be a lot of heartbreak on both sides, for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure you wouldn't feel too lucky if that's the
Right.
route you were given,
Yeah.
the path you had to take.
Yeah.
Especially because if someone's ODing from fentanyl, I'm sure the family life wasn't the greatest
Right.
during the time either.
Right.
So you're probably dealing with possible abuse or just neglect, I'm sure, if they're getting fentanyled out.
Right, and that's another thing that the children have to process too at some point is, where were my grandparents when, I was being neglected too.
Mhm.
Like, they have to process through all of that stuff.
Yeah, and it's got to be a lot of our generation goes through like a generational cycle. The parents are acting that way because of what they went through, and
Right.
and we're the generation that's trying to break a lot of it. And some kids just get I don't want to really cut the shit into the stick.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's hard. Like, we think about like people my age, like I'm like the oldest Xer, right? So we had a lot of us had silent generation parents, or even like boomer parents, right? And so they had all this trauma. I
Yeah.
mean, it's crazy. I mean, the stories that my mom tells about like how the fishbowl in her room would freeze solid every night, and then when she'd come home from school, it's just back fishing. Like that kind of stuff was happening.
Oh yeah.
So then we have this huge like tumultuous change, right? Like, the generation that I was born was the 60s, like all this stuff happened in the 70s, so that was like hard for our parents to even like relate to us, like in the 80s. And that's why they say that we're feral, because it wasn't just that they like turned us out to the street, they just almost couldn't even like relate to
Right.
how the world was, right? And then now we have like all of this stuff happening with fentanyl, with parents just kind of being checked out because of what happened during the pandemic. I mean, every generation does, not to dismiss like people who had a truly traumatic childhood, but every generation and every person really alive right now has some trauma that they need to work through.
Yeah. There was I saw something, I don't know the exact quote, but it was like kids are just the best at dealing with everything, and they're like, well, then why are most adults in therapy?
Right.
Like,
Right.
kids are just good at
adapting,
and internalizing it until it comes out.
Yeah.
To where they just kind of just push it down until one day they become adults and it just comes out.
Right. I mean, you'll meet like many people like my age. I have ran into this my entire life, that they sort of venerate their parents, right? Like that their dad, like when you go around and ask like who their hero is, it's like this cringy thing where they're like, oh, it's my dad.
Yeah.
It's my mom or whatever. And then like later you come to find out that they've like, they were an alcoholic, they were never there, and they, had all these affairs, like all these kinds of things. Like it was kind of like that was just sort of your role as a child, to like your parents were your heroes.
Yep.
And now that's changing a little bit.
Yeah.
Like where kids are kind of able to be like, hey, that isn't okay. That isn't what's supposed to be happening. And I don't know, it's like we can't say if it's good or bad, but it's just like what's happening, where we have a lot more input into what's happening to our children and who's talking to them and who's able to like educate them on things. Yeah,
and we have a lot of younger people that are finally, like, this generation is to where they'll cut parents off.
Right.
To where they understand the toxicity that comes from it. And there's a lot that are just like, I don't even talk to them. We left the hero stage to, I've got to get away from this and better myself, because being around this person doesn't bring out the best in me.
Yeah, that's, I see that. I have some of that, like, in my own, circle, where people are doing a family cutoff. And, what's hard about doing a family cutoff is that, like, you can grow up in the same family and in the same household and have a different experience with the parents. So and that's why I call it a family cutoff, because you can't really just cut off your parents. Like, you're cutting off part of the relationship that you have with everybody, your grandparents, your siblings. Everything is kind of different. You know, you've kind of chosen a different path. And I think that people kind of have to remember about that. Like, it's not forever. Like, it doesn't have to be forever. And we actually help people recover from toxicity by not staying in a relationship with them sometimes. And that's really hard. Like, that's really hard to understand. Like, we really want to hang in there with that alcoholic or with that person that's addicted. Like, sometimes the best thing we can do for them is to not stay in contact.
Yeah, and it's so hard because there's that hope that one day
absolutely.
they're going to change. And so many people are just so stuck in their ways to where I don't need to change. Other people like me, this is your problem.
Yeah, right.
All right. Like,
Yeah, I kind of think about it like, and this isn't an original thought at all, but you know, do you just think about like the circus tent, right? Have you ever seen like the old fashioned big top circus tent? So like, what's happening inside there, the circus isn't like really happening outside.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of poles like holding it up, and it's this big tent. So like, we're all participating in that, whether you're like holding up the tent or you're part of the circus. That's how our relationships are working in toxic families. So sometimes you just have to be like, you know what, I'm going to let at least my part of the tent fall down, and I'm just going to crawl out. I'm just going to be, I'm going to step out. Yeah. And that doesn't mean you can't ever come back. And it doesn't mean that you hurt anybody either, you know, but it does mean that you're not participating for a time.
And sometimes stepping away is the type of shock that some people need. Like, some people, when they're like, oh, they're not actually talking to me, maybe I do need to make a change.
Right.
Not for everybody. Like, there's some people that just let it happen and you just don't talk for years. But
Right. Like, we all can talk about, like, the situation of hitting bottom. I mean, for some people, it can be just, like, being pulled over and the cop says, I'm not going to give you a DUI this time. They're like, oh, I'm never drinking again.
Right.
You know, for some people, it can be, like, losing a job over drinking, or, you know, getting in a fight with someone and, like, losing that relationship. But for some people, it has to be, like, almost like a near-death experience, and the whole tent fell down. It just kind of depends on the person.
Yeah, mine was, my mom was watching my son. I was drinking and doing drugs, and I was sat there, and I was like, I am such a piece of shit. Like, my son is with my mom. It's the middle of the week. I'm here doing drugs and getting drunk. I was like, what the hell am I doing? And I just started crying, and I was like, dude, I got to step it up. I can't be this person anymore. Right.
And then what helped you, like, to recover?
To be perfectly honest, I try to hide this as it was hallucinogenic therapy, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. I took a bunch of hallucinogens, and it's that ego death that people talk about. It was like, you understand that you're a piece of shit, right? And I had to be like, oh my God, I am. And it honestly, it slapped me in the face and showed me who I really was. So, because a lot of people, I've had people go, well, you've changed, like, so maybe they can. It's like, I changed in a certain way that a lot of people aren't willing to do. I've faced my inner demons going through that hallucinant, like the peyote type rituals and things like that, to where you're here. Let's show you your true self. This is who you are right now. So is this who you want to be? And I definitely didn't want to be that person.
Right. And did you have to do it a couple times?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll still do it like every once in a while, to where you take a high dose and you just... I tell people a lot that if you're tripping and you're having fun and you're doing like a hallucinogen and you're having a good time, you're not doing it right. Right. That you should be faced with things that you don't want to be faced with. Right. And realize, oh, I don't want that in me anymore. I don't want that part of me. And that's what it was. I was drunk. I think we were doing coke, and then the coke ran out, and I took acid because I just wanted to do something. And it was like, here you go. Right. Here, you think you're having a good time. Here's what you're really doing. You're a piece of shit who's neglecting his kid and choosing to do drugs and drink and do this stuff instead of actually spend time with your son.
Did you ever have a point where you were like, but like kind of like remember like your potential, like?
Oh yeah.
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 So that's good. Like that you can be like a great father and a change agent for society.
Oh yeah. And ever since then, like I've been I feel like I'm a good dad. I always say if there's one thing I can do right, I can be a dad. So my son is my number one. I would do anything for him. I spend so much time with him. I don't work a regular job because I want to be there for him. And I always say that once he hits a certain age, I'm not cool anymore.
Right, right.
If I need to get like a different type of job, then I'll do it at that point.
Right.
But
no,
until
I
then,
agree with that. I think it's like, I think we really, and I know that I made this mistake, that it's like, I've got to make like this amount of money and my, husband has to make money and we have to provide all these things. But I do look back on it and I think our children would have been better off if one of us would have stayed home or if we would have had like the kind of jobs where like neither one of us worked full time.
Yeah.
Definitely like having kids in daycare and like not getting home till 6:00 at night, 6:30 at night is not normal. I mean, that's not what should be happening for humans.
Yeah, and it's so new because years ago, like decades ago, I should say, that's not the way it was. You always had one parent at home.
Yeah.
You had one that was working. Or
a grandparent at home all the time.
My grandma basically raised me because my mom would be working, so I'd always be with her.
Yeah.
I didn't have I had a babysitter when I was very young, but she was abusive. She was a terrible person. So I was always like with my grandma. And even back in like when there weren't the buildings and we were on the land, you were learning from your parents. You were always with them.
Yeah,
You were
absolutely.
That was your teacher.
Yes.
And we've gotten so far away from it to where we're just pushing our kids off on someone else to raise.
Yeah.
And it goes so fast. You blink one day and I don't want to hang out with you, Mom. I'm going to go hang out with my girl, or I'm going to go hang out with my boyfriend.
Right.
And you're like, where'd my baby go?
Yeah,
you were attached at my hip. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing that also happens is that you don't really realize it like when you have kids, but they're like your adult friends, right?
Yeah.
Everything works out. Right? Like, so for like 40 years of your relationship, ideally more than that, 50 years, they're an adult.
Yep. Yeah.
while you're in relationship with them. And I mean, that's like, that is something that you really don't think about at all.
I've never really thought of that part of it, actually.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that's my little partner. But yeah, at some point he is going to be an adult and he's just, that I've never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
I wonder if more people understood that. Because that kind of makes me think of, I always try to talk to his mom because the way they parent is different. And they'll like get on him about little things. And I always tell him, like, when he's an adult, you wouldn't be screaming at him because he didn't do it, because that's not how you treat adults. You don't treat.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, we want to get them prepared for the real world, so we can't treat them like, oh, you didn't do the laundry, and start screaming at them, because that's not what you do to a regular person.
Right.
Like if
that's true.
If you did something, I wouldn't be like, oh, so why should we?
And that's such an easy way to understand it. And I will talk to people about that. I also do parenting classes. Mm-hmm. And so you never want to make parents feel ashamed, right? Like the whole thing is that we're trying to build confidence. Like at the end of a parenting class, I don't want anybody to say, like I was such a shitty parent. Now I'm a great parent. I always want them to feel like, yeah, I was always their parent. I was always trying my best, which I think we all are. But that is one thing that I use, which you just like instinctively went to. As I said, sometimes you just have to talk to them like you would talk to your friends.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're not your friend, they're your child, and you're responsible for them. But like, how respectful would you be to your best friend if you were asking them to just don't put it in the sink, go ahead and put it in the dishwasher, or whatever.
Right. You wouldn't start screaming at them. Every time you leave stuff, they wouldn't be your friend for much longer if that was your reaction every time.
Or trying to send them on a guilt trip, or like rewarding bad behavior. I think we do that a lot with kids.
Yeah.
Like we're eventually like, okay, I got to get through this. Like I'm going to give them what they want,
Yeah, I've seen a lot of parents do that.
Yeah, like kind of, and coercive parenting, like sort of threatening them or bribing them all the time. Like, we don't do that to anybody else, but we do that to children. Like, doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and then we wonder why certain adults act a certain way. It's like, well,
Yeah.
you can tell a lot about an adult. You can tell how they were raised by the way they act.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, have you ever seen somebody that like really responds to like acknowledgement and like affirmation, right? Like, I mean, we're used to like complimenting other adults, like, oh, that's a nice tattoo or something like that, you know, but we kind of like affirm and acknowledge people. Like, a lot of times I will see people that they're like just not used to that because we didn't grow up with it. Like,
Yeah.
our parents just didn't know to do it.
Yeah, like my grandparents, they wouldn't even, you'd tell them, I love you, Grandpa, or something, get all like weird about it.
Yeah.
I laugh. They're a lot better now because I've done it so much to where they're
Yeah.
like, oh, love you. But still, even now, it throws them off.
Right. I mean, I think that's kind of where the whole love you more thing came from. And I think it's really cute. You know, I've seen that they, you know, have a lot of like love you more merch out there, including like cremation urns. And I really think it was from older people that were like uncomfortable with younger people saying I love you, that they just say love you more back. Like,
Yeah.
it kind of is like,
That makes sense.
kind of like love you.
I don't know how to use that term.
Yeah.
I wasn't told it.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah.
And I remember like reading back in the 70s or whatever, you know, when I was like old enough to read the paper, I was like, we would get the Rocky Mountain News and the Denver Post, right? We had the tabloid paper, and then the Denver Post was like the fold out paper. And one paper had Dear Abby and one paper had Ann Landers.
Yeah.
And I love reading both of those. And they talked a lot about that. Like, I remember it being covered a number of times about people saying, I love you. Like, how many people do you say I love you to? Like, is it okay to say I love you to your kids? Is it okay to say I love you to your grandparents? Like, is it okay to say I love you, like, to, you know, more than one person that you're dating? You know,
No,
like
I
that.
say I love you to my friends.
Yeah,
I just
it was
wish
really
someone a happy
interesting.
birthday, and I was like, he's like, I love you, brother. I was like, love you too, man. And
Yeah.
I'm very open with I love you.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I should see if I can find that. There was a lot of like discussion about it because people were starting to say it more, like in the 70s. And
Yeah.
like older people were uncomfortable with it for sure.
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of people now say it more to like friends and stuff, because there are certain people that are, oh, did you just tell them you love them? Like, yeah, of course, why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, some people are still uncomfortable. I think we're starting to throw it out even more just because it wasn't thrown out as much
Right.
in the past. So now more people are being just more open to just saying it to friends, family. Like, if someone random person's like, "Love you, man," love you too, bro.
Right.
I'm really
It's not-
fine with it now.
Right, and it isn't like it devalues it, you know, at
Yeah.
all. Like, I mean, it's kind of like a muscle. You know, it's good to keep exercising it.
Yeah, and a lot of people they have a very weak muscle when it comes to that.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely is like kind of interesting to think about. My husband and I have talked about that because he came from a family where they didn't say it, and it's interesting because it's kind of like he had like the Italian side and then like the more like stoic. Like Scandinavian side, like Finnish. And I was just reading recently that like people in Finland maybe like last 10 years have started saying I love you.
Really,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, that's like kind of interesting to think
that
about.
is. It's crazy how much we've grown and how little like other areas are still in that.
Right.
They're almost like still in like the 1950s version of us, so where they're still just
Yeah.
starting to get up to date.
Yeah, it is interesting to think about. And just like spiritually, like what that means too.
Sometimes I forget, and then I'll be watching it back, and I'm like, oh, I forgot to take that out. And I'm all right, I'm going to take this out, and it's still in the podcast.
I'm-
It humanizes you.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just hard to watch myself after doing the podcast, because a lot of times it's just me talking for an hour. And like I'll tell stories, or I'll talk about relationships or kids, like the
Right.
way kids aren't bad. They're just,
Right.
there's trauma that we haven't found. And
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I think there's probably some bad seeds out there, but I haven't ran across one yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't met any like young toddlers or anything that are just evil, you know?
No. Do you remember? I can't remember their names. Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris, the Columbine people.
Mm-hmm.
One of their parents said that they had some concerns by the time he was 4.
Really?
I think Eric Harris' mom.
Yeah, because you do hear. Are we recording?
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, okay. I should probably make sure because we're getting. Yeah, because you do hear about some kids that are into like the animal stuff, to where they're hurting animals and finding them.
Yes.
So man, there probably are some bad ones, but I wonder where that comes from.
I mean, I think it's kind of like some people are just born that it's kind of like a loaded gun, and then something triggers it. And I, back in a past life, I was a crime analyst, and there was a guy, and his name is Bob Hare, or Robert Hare, a very famous researcher about psychopathy. And he was teaching a class in Denver, and so I applied for a scholarship. And the class was like $8,000 or $9,000 to take, but I applied for a scholarship, and got the scholarship. The Denver Police Department was nice enough to just like give me the time off. Like I just got paid like I was working, but I was actually taking those classes. Yeah, and he did a lot of research because in Canada they're able to like do an MRI on everybody. That goes into prison, because it's different than the United States. For one thing, they have universal health care. And then they don't have, like, their First Amendment rights are kind of different.
Yeah.
So, like, in the United States, like, the ACLU might show up and say, like, it's not okay to, like,
just do this without their permission.
Yeah, exactly. And so there are brain differences in people that show like higher level of psychopathy, but not everybody that has those brain differences like shows those antisocial personality traits. So it's kind of an interesting thing. And so there's a lot of things that have to happen they're kind of born and made. It's like a combination, but it's pretty rare. I mean, it's like 10% of the population that has those brain differences.
That's interesting. So it's like wiring differently.
Yeah, they're wired a little differently. Yeah, and like you can see it on a scan. I mean, I don't think that and a lot of the stuff in the class was kind of over my head because I'm not, familiar with anatomy, and it was definitely like psychopathy for law enforcement. And there are some people that are just naturally able to kind of think more like how a psychopath thinks.
Yeah.
Like they'd set up like scenarios, like what would the psychopath do? And what the psychopath does always is like against like societal norms and like what just benefits them. And so we see kind of a spectrum of that, right? And that's what's kind of scary, is that there's like human behavior labs that they're seeing more and more towards that. Like they call it cluster B personality disorders. So like everybody knows the word narcissism, of course, right? So that would be kind of part of it, where it's just like fueling your own desires, wants, and like just just be able to feel like that you exist, and that you're alive. So it's kind of assigning this outside locus of control, right, to everything that makes you feel like you and makes you feel good and makes you feel like you're alive. So when it gets dark, though, is when what makes you feel like you and makes you feel good, makes you feel like you're alive, is when you're taking advantage or hurting other people.
Wow. So the people that can see that or can actually like think the same way, those are probably the ones that make the better detective or the better like analyst, right?
Well, and this is kind of it's a little bit like fringing on gossip, but when I applied for the thing to take that class, civilians in police departments are sort of like eyed a little suspiciously. Like you're kind of taking away some money that should be going to cops or to actual law enforcement. Like a crime analyst, sometimes it's hard to see like their value that helps the cops do something better. Also, the cops don't want to be told what to do by a civilian that's not out there risking their life. We all understand that. But I remember that there was a guy that he was very, very opposed to me taking it. And he filed a grievance, like with the police department, like she shouldn't be allowed to go. And so like sort of how they solved the grievance is like they explained to him like, we're not paying for her to go. Like she was able to get a scholarship, but they're like, we'll pay for you to go. Like you can go. And so it was kind of a funny thing because we took the psychopathy scale test, like the first day of class, you know, and it's like those kinds of tests, those kind of assessments, it's like the 40s is usually like really high. So he scored a 41 and I scored a 3. And I was just like, I had to like literally kind of talk him down to it. Like, he's like, am I psychopath? I was like, no, I mean, you've just been doing this work a long time.
Right.
Maybe you are a psychopath.
Right. Maybe that's why you got so bad that I got the fun.
Well, and it was kind of funny because I remember like the first day of class, I parked like kind of far away because I wasn't sure like where to park or whatever. And I remember like he pulled up and like did like the big flex, like park right next to me and everything. Like I was watching you, like following you around kind of thing. And I'm like, that was weird. Like,
yeah, that's a little
like we're in class, like we're in class together. I'm not mad, you know, that you get to take it too. Like let's do this. But and I wouldn't consider him a friend or anything. But I remember like years later, whenever I would be on the radio or something like that, maybe he'll watch this podcast.
Yeah, right.
He'd always kind of like reach out, like I heard you on the radio.
You're all right.
Yeah, it's kind of
Thanks.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, he seems
Wired a little
yeah,
differently.
seems wired. That's a nice way to put it.
But he was using those powers for good, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So what would be something that's like on the test that makes you test high? Like what are the
I think a
the
lot of
questions?
it just has to do, we could probably look up the test. I actually used to have the book that Bob Hare wrote, and I had a bird and a cat both just totally like destroy the book. So I must have been like reading it when I was like eating a tuna fish sandwich or something.
Yeah, right.
I don't know what it was. But it's really, a lot of it just has to do with like everything is about you. Like it's like really hard to understand how your actions benefit other people, or more like how your actions like just keep like elevating you. And you know, I think that there's a lot of things that are sort of built into our society, unfortunately, you know, that it rewards antisocial behavior. And antisocial doesn't mean like introvert, like I want to stay home and isolate and withdraw. Antisocial means like I want to and get pleasure out of like taking advantage of other people, you know, or hurting other people, or like I don't care about other people.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I always think when exactly what you introvert is what you think of when you hear antisocial. You don't think of that other side of it.
Right, and that and I definitely like try to talk about this a little bit on Facebook, and you might have seen this, is like we don't want to like glorify isolation and withdrawing from people. Like that isn't healthy. Being an introvert's great. Like over half the population's an introvert, right? I mean, the basic definition, all it means is that you're not energized by being around other people.
Yeah.
You know, that you need time to like recharge and regroup. And most people are kind of both, right? Like the ambivert is true also.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't want to do like a lot of navel gazing about that, right? Like we're at a place in time in society, like we need to like raise awareness and all of that, but we don't have to like fixate on all of this stuff, you know? Just like what is your benefit, what's your purpose is what's going to make you feel the best. It's what's going to help everybody else the most. So I do see a little bit of that. Like I just want to be home by myself. I just want to withdraw and isolate. And I can like go down a whole rabbit hole around how I think that the COVID lockdowns sort of like triggered some of that in people, and just as like maybe more normal to do that, but it's definitely not necessarily beneficial.
Yeah, the COVID added a lot of mental health issues, I would say, almost. Like,
sure.
To where people, I mean, we lost a lot of people during COVID because of the lockdown, just not wanting to be home or being around the wrong people.
Yeah.
There was a lot of divorce that happened because of it.
Child abuse.
Yeah. The COVID rabbit hole is one that
Yeah, I mean, it's almost
that's a whole other podcast.
Right. And like now I think we're starting, I mean, we're 5 years out, right? Like, so it takes about 5 years to start being able to talk about it, where you're able to like kind of say, this is what my experience was, and, you know, compare notes with other people. But I lost a lot of friends during COVID. I mean, they're still alive. I did lose some friends that died from COVID, but I lost a lot of friends from COVID because I came from like the public safety background, right? Like, so, you know, we would go to pandemic table talks, right? And like we were all learning about this is what happens when the pandemic happens, which was totally different than what happened. And they never really talked about the lockdown, but they did. I think that maybe they did talk about the lockdown, but I didn't really understand what they meant. When they talked about like nobody's able to work, I thought that they meant like they're either dead or they're sick or they have to stay home because they have like little kids and stuff, right? So what we were sort of instilled with, like there will be essential workers. We'll all be essential workers. We'll all have to work. Like we will like work towards like getting the vaccine, all of that. And so now I kind of like look back on that. And during COVID, I did get laid off and I immediately went to work as an essential worker because I'm like, oh, I've already had COVID. Made sense to me to go work at Walgreens. I'm like, we'll be the first ones to get the vaccine.
See, I
in a
did
capitalist
deliveries.
society. Yeah. So that's what I did. And I lost a lot of friends over it because I kind of had this like attitude, like you don't have to lock down if you don't want to. You might not get to do what you want, but you don't have to stay home all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, it's your life. Like you can risk your life if you want. Or you can take measures that make you feel safe or whatever, but you don't have to. Like we're not slaves.
Yeah, and it was blown so out of proportion. So I remember because I was doing delivery, like shopping for people and delivering groceries and stuff. And I remember I was at a store one time and they're yelling at this lady, like this older lady, because she didn't want to wear a mask. And they're like screaming at her. And I was like, how many people have you guys seen sick or dying? Like, according to the news, we should see people coughing up a lung. Like, how many you've worked here this whole time, right? And they're all, yeah. I was like, how many people have you honestly seen sick to the point that they're saying? And you just see it click in their mind, and they're like, wait, yeah, stop yelling at us. I was like, yeah.
And we don't have to yell at people, right? No. Like, I actually, there was a thing called like the Deputy app where you can do security guard things. And so I kept doing them because it was like kind of easy money. And it was just like reminding people to wear a mask. And so I would always do natural grocers like Vitamin Cottage because I felt like that they were pretty like laid back about it. Like, hey, like my mask is protecting me. We're advising you to wear one. That's actually, and then at some point it became the law that you had to wear one. Yeah. But it wasn't like, we're not going to yell at anybody. We're not going to go crazy. And I actually really like natural grocers. And they gave us a gift card every day for lunch, which was kind of fun. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, a kombucha and a snack is
that's cool.
Always nice. But I remember, like you said, like it could kind of click in people's heads, like, hey, like I have a mask on it, and I feel like I'm safe. Just like if you have a vaccine, the vaccine's protecting me. If you don't want to get a vaccine, like that's good. We need people that are to be able to have body autonomy, right? Yeah. It's a slippery slope. Like when does it stop that I can tell you what you can and cannot do with your body? Right? So I mean, like body autonomy to me is like more important than public safety, right? Yeah. There's other ways to be safe.
Yeah, and see, I caught COVID once, I had it, and then I never got it again. I didn't get vaxxed. I was around people with COVID after that, never got it again. Like,
right.
My brother used to get so mad at me. You can't come around us unless you get the vax. Like, I guess I'm not coming around you guys because I'm not doing it. But the
vaccine is protecting them. If they believe in the vaccine so much,
that's what I told them. I was like, if you got it, then why does it matter if I have it?
I have a lot of friends that didn't get vaccinated. I don't know why that is. I'm like, there's a part of me that thinks that maybe there's a lot of people that didn't get vaccinated and just lie and say that they did.
Oh, yeah, I know a lot that got fake cards or there's a lot of people that pretended to get it.
Oh, I mean, as far as the cards go, I mean, we had at one of the Walgreens, because I kind of floated around at different Walgreens and different pharmacies, we would have like these stacks and stacks of those cards. Okay, so I'm working at Walgreens for $20 an hour. You know, not me personally, but like what's going to stop someone from just like taking a huge stack of those and put them in their backpack?
Right. Yeah.
Even if you're just giving them out, like, so people buy you a beer or something.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. And I know graphic designers that were making them. There were people that were like selling
because they
them.
literally just wrote on them with like any pen.
Yeah.
Like it didn't even have like a specific pen or anything. It
See,
was kind of wild.
I never even saw them, to be honest. I didn't. I knew people talked about them. They're, can I get one for my job? And since I was just doing like Instacart, I didn't need a card. I didn't.
Right. Yeah.
I never even knew what the purpose was, and then they only lasted for
Right.
like a month or a few months to a year, right? And then there was just like,
I
who
did get a
cares?
job where I had to have it in like November of 2021.
Really?
Yeah, but I think that was kind of the end of it. That
Yeah.
then they stopped requiring people to have them. But yeah, so the back to like all the people I know that weren't vaccinated. It's kind of interesting because like literally like everyone in like my like really close circle isn't vaccinated, and it seems like that I've had more COVID than they have.
Yeah. And the heart problems in younger people, and now the aneurysms and the seizures and things that are happening now, and they're like, it's so weird that 40-year-olds are starting to have heart attacks.
Well, and the thing
And
that's
it's kind of
like,
crazy. You put some random thing in your body that came out within
Right.
a year or two.
right. No, and it's kind of funny because I have like two friends that are younger than I am, you know, like 35, 40, that their moms would just be like a little older than I am, that their mom died. Like in the doctor's office, 15, 20 minutes after getting the COVID vaccine. And then I have a friend, and I knew her in real life, but more on Facebook. She didn't live in Denver. That she said, like, she goes, I'm going to go get the jab today and blah, blah, blah. And she died that day.
Yep.
So I know for a fact that the day she died, and I know like the last message she sent me said that. So that I'm just one person. It's not like I know like thousands of people. I mean, sort of.
Yeah, right.
We have contact with thousands of people
Yeah.
on the internet, but I think it's interesting to think about. And then there was, and I don't even remember where I heard this, but there was somebody that said that there was like 4,000 people in the U.S. that died on day 0, which means the day that they were vaccinated. I mean, that doesn't sound like a lot of people. Like, would 4,000 people have died anyways? I mean, I don't know.
Right.
You know, and maybe that number is not right or whatever. But I mean, I just think that there's something going on with the vaccine
Yeah.
that we shouldn't have been forcing people to do it. And children
See that.
being forced to do it didn't make sense because children don't die from COVID.
Right. Yeah, and I was so happy that my son's mom, that we're on the same page as far as that goes. Like, we
That's
did
good.
everything to avoid him. We're not giving him the shot. She's all, if the school requires it, we might have to. I was like, no, we're not. Like, there's no way, there's no reason for it.
And they can't. I mean, at the, you know, if push comes to shove, I mean, you just have to homeschool
Right.
until
Yeah.
he could go back to school. And I think homeschooling is actually like probably something you could do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly, if it was up to me, my son would be homeschooled. The school system has gone really far downhill, in my opinion.
No, do you have a school system? Are you going to school in Greeley or?
He was going in Greeley. He's going to go to Eaton now, which we'll probably see. I'm not going to remember that. I'll bleep that, but I'm not going to remember that. So now everyone knows where my son goes. But yeah, yeah. But that's the type of thing I mean when there's certain things that I want to edit, but I will not edit that.
Look at the time and then just edit it out. I don't know where to look at the time.
Yeah, see, I don't either, because it's like 3:18:35. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But I'm getting better. I need to watch the podcast and actually edit them. It's just so hard
just
watching yourself.
bleep that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, now he's gonna go there, which that's where I went, and they were better when I was going to school, but nowadays they don't even do like around the world or anything like that. It's the No Child Left Behind Act has really ruined a lot of it.
What is that? I don't even know.
It's where you can't fail anybody unless the parents
yes,
agree.
yes. I do know about that. Yeah. Okay.
So where, I don't know, school used to be, I feel like school used to be, it actually meant something to where they're actually teaching you things, and now it's just...
Like an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you graduate, yeah.
And now, like, there's so many people that read at, like, a third grade level that are, like, in their 30s.
Yeah.
Which,
I know, that is true.
Yeah. I mean, you talk to people. I shouldn't be one of the smartest people when I meet people because I'm dumb. So, like, when I meet someone, I'm like, I don't know. It just...
Well, and I feel like that you forget a lot of what you learn in school, but it should teach you how to think and learn, right? You know, and I remember, like, it used to annoy me when I'd hear adults say that, like, it's teaching you how to think, though. Like, you know, when you're like, when am I going to use algebra or whatever? And actually, you do use algebra in life. But, yeah, just being able to think about things and just having, like, a lifelong love of learning is, like, most of us, you know, have that. But it seems like school sort of, like, takes it away from some people. It makes them, like, hate reading and hate, like, learning. It's, like, really interesting. I know a lot of people that were traumatized by their school experience.
Yeah,
and it's turned them off to reading, which is not good. Or what about how many people have you known that, like, later in life, 30s, 40s, something like that, maybe you don't know that many people, but I've known so many people that later in life went back to college and, like, you know, blew the curve for everybody else because they just loved it so much, but they hated it so much that when they got out of high school, they're like, I am not cracking another book, I'm not taking another test. And so the school did them, like, this huge disservice.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, there's a lot of people like that. See, I got kicked out. I voluntarily pulled myself out, or I would have got expelled at, I believe, 15. So then I just went and got my GED and started college at, like, 16 or 17.
Oh, wow.
But I hated schooling.
Did you like college? Or
No.
just didn't like school?
Yeah. I just don't like learning basic stuff to where... Because you have to, even when you start college, you have to relearn basically the first 2 years of high school.
Right,
They
it's a
throw
lot
you in
of
the
busy work.
like
Yeah.
where you have to get the credits for this to do this, and so I just want to do the thing that I want to do. So I just self-taught myself on 90% of everything. So I learned how to do video.
You totally can do that now. That's for sure.
Yeah.
No, and I've helped a couple of my clients get their GED, and it's, like, really hard. Like, it's, like, hard. Like, I'm like, yeah, you know, this is, like, way above my pay grade, you know, and I have a master's degree. You know? Like, this is hard. But, I mean, they're able to do it. You know, they just keep plugging along because it's, like, the GED makes sense to them. Like, right? Like, this is a means to an end. I think sometimes, like, being warehoused with 2,000 other kids and, like, shuffling around every 55 minutes and it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense to them.
Yeah, and I had I was in school in, like, the late 90s, early 2000s where ADHD wasn't really the common thing.
Like, they didn't understand it. Yeah.
You were just a kid that, he wants attention, and you get treated like you're some kid looking for attention or you're a bad kid. That's why I'm so into bad kids. Like, right. Some kids are just misunderstood. Like, I was always like, there's Jarod again wanting attention. And it's like,
oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's not good.
They even, in 5th grade, they pulled me out and they gave me, like, they had someone come in and do a test on me. I didn't realize what it was until afterwards. And the guy goes in and he goes, the problem is you guys. He's in 5th grade and he's testing college level on most of these things. Right. It's on you guys are just putting him in this class and he's bored. Right. And they tell him that, and then they just put me right back in the same class.
So they don't do anything.
Yeah, they didn't do anything.
And there weren't as many choices, probably, if you were in a more rural place.
Yeah.
Like, I have 3 children, and I don't, think that they would mind me talking about this, but, like, 2 of them especially were, like, super, like, high-spirited, extremely intelligent, but not compliant. The third one is just, like, really, like just pretty compliant. Like, literally, like, my youngest child, like, got in trouble, like, one time. like her whole life, like honestly. And I think, you know, so kind of like she was kind of like an only child, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, better seasoned parents. The other two were like 8 and 9 years older. So just kind of like had 4 parents, 5 or 6 parents once I got divorced. You know?
Yeah.
So it definitely made a difference, I think, like just like able to just kind of, you know, not rebel as much. But that it really, I think, both of them would have ended up getting their GED if we didn't have an alternative school that they could have gone to, like an expeditionary learning school, which is like a learning expedition. Doesn't mean you always go on a field trip, but they went on a lot of field trips. But it meant like you do the thing, like you're building something, like you're building a potato gun. You're growing a garden. You're like going to, you know, mushroom class or, you know, learning how to grow things.
Learning by doing. See, that's what I want to do for my son, but his mom just won't agree to it because he's the same type as I am. School's just not for him.
Yeah, and I mean, I would think that you probably have something similar, alternative schools, you know.
Greeley does.
Part. Yeah.
Eaton didn't. And I think that was, like you said, that was the issue, is there was, okay, we learned this, and so what are we going to do? I guess just send them back to class.
No, and it's really interesting that you talk about, like, you know, they said gifted and talented probably, like in the time frame that you were there, that you were like very gifted.
Oh, no. No. Exactly.
Well, that was like kind of the language that they were using. And I remember one time going, and I can't remember the incident, but like something happened where the kids were asked to write like an essay, and you write an essay. So do you remember that movie, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly? Mm-hmm. So the essay was The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. You choose which one you want to write about. So do you want to write, like, this group of kids writes the good, this group of kids writes the bad, this group of kids writes the ugly, okay? And it was kind of like a group project, which, you know, those go, like, sideways a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But that's how life is, right? You're always doing a group project in life, you know? Like, life is sort of a group project. So I agree with group projects on that. So anyhow, this particular child of mine sort of like ran all the groups and wrote like the good, the bad, the ugly, like all 3. I'm like, this is what the good part is. And I think it was slavery. So like, this is what the good thing about slavery is, whatever that was. I guess like the, you know, kind of building a lot of stuff. And then whatever. And so the teacher was like, there would have been an A. It was like A work, but I'm giving her an F. Because that wasn't following directions. Yeah. Right? So that's kind of how the public school is. Like, right? It's more important to follow directions than be, like, really creative and, like, really work hard. Yeah. And so that's not great. And I remember that, like, we went to, like, a discussion about it. And the person was like to me, like, where'd you do your undergrad? And blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you know what? Like, the best and the brightest is not talking about where they went for their undergrad. Right. You know what I mean? Right. And I've thought about that like a lot. Like nothing prepares you for that before you have your own children. Mm-hmm. You know, that there's just like these people, like you say, that are like part and parcel of raising your child that are trying to like break their spirit. Yeah. Like literally. And like we are all going to be up in arms if there is a sexual predator at a school. Oh yeah. Maybe. I mean, there actually are cases where there are kind of like sexual predators that the parents are sort of like, you know. Really? Like, oh yeah. Yeah. Like they don't want to make a huge. They don't want to make a huge scene, right? Mm-hmm. I've seen that a few times. But yeah, definitely the what we really want for our kids is so much better than what we're often getting. Yeah. Right. We want them to be like really creative. We want them to be productive members of society, but we want them to like love life and like not feel like you have to do like march like right along and do things exactly as how you were told. Yeah. The brick in the wall or the cog. Like that's what I think public school is. It's we need to make another cog or we need to make another brick, and you all just need to conform. And it's like that. I'm sure you've seen that image where it's like a monkey, a fish, and it's different animals, and it's like, okay, now climb that tree. Oh, gotcha. Right, like, yeah, it doesn't work. Yeah. It doesn't work for everybody. Yeah, one system to teach everybody. It's not the way it is. Right. And that's
that's basically what we're stuck with. We've
Right.
got all these free thinkers and all these different thinkers and all these different people, and we're like, all right, well, this is the way you do it. And that's just not the way for everybody.
Right. No, and I mean, right, do you remember, like, they would take away recess, right? Like, that's the thing that, like, you need the most
Yep.
if you're having a hard time sitting in class.
Yeah, I used to have
Right.
to do ISS all the time, where they just like stick you in a closet. And
Right. And that's like punishment. Like, and when was the last time punishment worked? I
Right.
don't even remember. Yeah, maybe I don't even think it worked with Adam and Eve. Like,
No, not at
like
all.
punishment doesn't work on humans. You know,
Yeah.
and humans aren't dogs, right? I get that. You know, and I don't mean to act like humans are dogs, but like, yeah, we don't lock our dog in a closet. We, you know, if the dog wants to be in their crate, you know, they're being crate trained's great, but like, we don't hit our dogs, we don't yell at our dogs, we don't like smack them, you know, we don't do any of those things. But like, we think that that's okay to do with a kid.
Right.
Right. We know that we have to let our dog out. We know we have to walk our dogs, you know, those kinds of things. That's why I don't have a dog, because I don't like doing all that work anymore. But
Yeah.
but we treat kids like, sometimes I think that like the job one is not to control them. Like, we want them to be in control because they've been raised right.
Yeah.
You know, not that they've just been like, they're scared to do anything.
Yeah, and see, I've always treated my son like an equal. That was always my parenting, and everyone tells me how incredible he is. And I really feel like it's that. I don't. He's not grounded. I'm not doing grounding. I think that's stupid. If he messes up, we talk about it. If I mess up and I like yell at him, I'll talk to him and be like, "Look, I'm sorry that I reacted that way. This is the reason why. It's not okay." And I taught him to stop saying it's okay and go, it's all good. It wasn't okay, but it's all good. We're good.
Right.
Because I don't want him getting that to where we accept that type of behavior.
Right.
To where, like you said, hitting, or I've never hit him or anything, but like yelling. Sometimes I'll lose my cool and I'll yell. And I don't want him to think that later on it's okay for people to yell at you.
Right.
So it's not okay, but
and being
it's all
able
good.
to talk about, like, this is when this is why I yelled, you know, or you get emotionally. I mean, emotional dysregulation, and I kind of see this meme about this, like, teaching your kids to be emotionally regulated is like this huge gift and all of that. Totally agree with that, right? But we're not 100% in control of our sympathetic nervous system. We're
Right.
just not. We're not. Like, we're built to react to things. And there are some people that are more reactive than others. And I will say this, like, you know, not like it's not good or bad, it just is a fact. I mean, fast twitch muscle people, like your elite athletes and all of that stuff, you know, I'm sure you understand about that. You know, like, you can't really be like a quarterback unless you have like all of that on board, right? That also, though, is kind of like you're reactive emotionally differently too. So like, people have to kind of be aware of that, you know. I mean, I see a lot of, and I'm sure you have over the years, like a lot of athletes that get in trouble, right?
Oh, yeah. Right, yeah.
Right, domestic violence stuff. So I mean, it's part of like, or driving too fast or whatever. So like, it's kind of part of what we have to teach kids too. Like, you're not bad, like, if you got scared and started screaming, you know, but like, we have to do that, like, kind of inner work, right, to get better about that. And some people are just, you know, always going to struggle with it, you know, especially if you've been yelled at, if that was what you were taught,
Yep.
you know. And I mean, I grew up in a family where nobody was a yeller. Like, my parents never yelled at us at all or anything like that. But like, that wasn't always great either. Right? You know, like being given the silent treatment or being ignored or just dismissed because they don't want to deal with it. That's not good either. Like, a coping skill is never pain avoidance.
Yeah. Right.
right. We don't want to like step onto the bed of nails or the hot coals or whatever. But like, sometimes we just have to sit with our feelings and like deal with it. And so I think that was something that the silent generation like didn't do and didn't teach their kids to do.
Yeah, and that's kind of how there was yelling from my mom, but it was also the yell and freak out and then let's just sweep it under the rug and pretend it didn't happen. And then,
Right, like, yeah.
And like 30
Not
minutes,
check
let's
back
talk,
in.
and that's why I always talk it out with them, because his other side, like his mom, they'll yell, they don't ever like explain why. It's just, all right, it's over now, and
Right.
there's no apology, there's no nothing. And I feel like that's bad too.
Yeah.
Like,
No, for
there
sure.
needs to be an explanation. Like, look, it wasn't okay.
Right.
It's the same as just going silent and like,
Right.
and then eventually you start talking again. It's like, so are we gonna work
Well,
this out, or is
right.
it's just there's a lot of unresolved things going through my mind right now. you
Right.
know?
No,
Like,
that's such a great word too, right? Like resolution
Mm-hmm.
is like huge for kids. Like and kids don't really know like what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And like they're learning as they go. But by the time they're like 10 or 11, they do. They for sure know.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. And like that is kind of malarkey that you're yelling at me and not,
Right.
and not owning it and like talking about it.
And all I did was there's once they get that certain age, that's why I've always tried to, I don't say anything bad about like his mom or anything. I'll never do anything, because I always know, like you said, at like 10 or 11, they're going to hit an age where they're going to realize,
Right.
oh, you're just talking bad about my other parent. Like you're
Right.
So I try to be as honest as possible. I don't want to talk bad about anybody, because I know there is that certain point to where kids are going to hit that age to where they understand a lot more.
Right,
And
right.
they understand things that...
And you have to be kind of careful. You know, like when they're adults, you can kind of talk about, it's not like you're talking bad about the other person, but you can just be like honest about it, because you know that they understand it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you know how your mom is. Like, right? Like,
Yeah,
or
he's
what-
at that age now to where we can it's like, I'm not going to say anything bad about her, but yeah, that's the way
Right.
mom. And he's like, yeah, that's mom. Like,
Yeah, or like, you know, maybe the best way to address this with your mom is this, because like
Yeah.
we don't want her to get upset or feel like that we're calling her out or whatever it is,
Yep.
you know? And he'll like learn how to do that and like navigate relationships, like all of his relationships, so much better if he has parents that just talk to him about like, this is how life is. This is real. This is what you do. I mean, I remember like just like really simple things, like when you go away to college, like there's like these kids that they don't really get like how money works, like stuff like that, or like how to do things, like kind of prepare things, all of those things. And it's like, you don't really want to be learning that from the other kids at college.
right?
Or like your roommates or whatever, you
Yeah.
know, but that's kind of like what used to happen a lot.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you know, people are like, don't have time. And my son will kind of tease me about this. Like, I'm really into cooking, but I'm kind of like the hash slinger type, right? Like, like my total jam is to like go make breakfast for like 25 people. Like, you know, I go to like a little like place that's like homeless empowerment place, you know, on Sunday mornings when they have a church service.
Yeah.
Like that's my favorite thing. You know what I mean? Like the hash slinger, like
Yeah.
we're making biscuits and gravy for 25 people and it's a blast, right? And he kind of jokes around because he's like more like a chef. Like, yeah, like mom's not trying to teach anybody how to cook. right? Like she's like
Just let me be in control. I got this.
right, but like that's kind of like where his love of it came from. So it's not always like bad. And I used to kind of tease him too. Like you have to actually eat a lot of stuff to be a foodie. Like
yeah.
we're not calling you a foodie until you eat food.
right.
And I think that encouraged him to be more open-minded about things. So like we come by things like different ways, and sometimes it isn't like this magical path. Like sometimes how we learn about emotional regulation is our dad like yells at us and then explains like where he's coming from. You know, and it's like you said, it's all good, right?
Yeah. Some learn from the opposite. Like, okay, this is what happened. I don't like that, so I'm gonna do different.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, and like there's stuff that we do that we don't like, you know? And that we either didn't learn properly or like we've just developed some bad habits around it. And it's like a chance to kind of improve, you know, and learn together.
See, and one of my biggest fears is being that bad thing that my son has to like I don't know, internalize, you know?
Yeah.
Because I'll tell him sometimes, like, God, I hope I'm not messing you up. And like,
Right.
no, you're the best dad. It's like, yeah, but what if something pops up later that I did wrong and now
Right.
you've got this issue? I'm so afraid of doing the wrong thing.
Right. Well, and I think just being mindful of that and like open about that. I think that, you know, and how old is he now?
10. He'll be
Like
11
10.
next month.
So yeah, so like when he's like, you know, 14, 15, 16 and is like rebelling and saying stuff, you know, that is like hurtful or makes you feel like you screwed up. I mean, at least he's saying it, right? And you're able to work it out. And like that
Right.
may not ever happen. You know? I mean, I know that like teenage rebellion is normal, but it doesn't have to be like them saying like I hate you.
Yeah.
You know, it more or less is just that like they're finding alignment with their friends. And that they want to hang out with their friends and
Yeah, that's basically what I knew that part was coming. I know there's the possibility of the I hate you and the I'm gonna try to fight you. I don't think he'll ever try to fight me. Because I've been really honest. I was like, bro,
What?
I was like, at some point you might try to fight me. You're gonna lose. I was like, I highly advise you don't do that. I was like, you want to try to fight your stepdad? You do what you got to do. So I don't think he'll ever try to fight me. But there's always that super rebellious. Because I remember, because I didn't have my dad. He ran out early. And when I was that age, I was like, if I had a dad right now, I'd fight him. Like, I was just angry.
You're just angry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think your son will be like wanting to fight you.
Yeah, I don't think so. But I just,
It's
you
good,
always hear
though.
those stories like of sons, like at some point they try to fight. Because I watch a lot of comedians and stuff and they talk about it. And they're,
Yeah, I don't remember any of that with my son or my brother, but or any of us like really being violent. But we had like an interesting family dynamic is that like none of us were ever spanked. And like even like my mom wasn't. You know what I mean? Like it was like generational that they were like pretty hands off.
more just, like you said, the quiet. And
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah, no, I remember like when I was first married to my husband now, we had like the living room that just kind of like flows into the kitchen. And I remember they were like watching football or something and his mom says like, shut up, Laura, like to me. And and his mom's like the nicest person, like great relationship. Actually, she and I have very similar personality, you know? And I'm like, you shut up, it's my house, right? And I remember my mom and dad were like, she was not raised that way. They're like, that was like, we never said shut up in our house.
That's fun.
Well, they said cayete
so
all
was
the
it
time.
like an angry shut up, or was it just
No,
like a
just
joking
like,
around,
shut
Laura,
up, like, shut up, Laura, like...
That's funny.
Like, I think I'm, like, trying to talk to them while I'm washing dishes. And they're just like, yeah, we're, like, watching the game.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was funny. But I remember my mom and dad were just like, oh, my God, I can't believe Laura said, like, it's my house.
That's so interesting to see someone on the other side. Because my house was screaming and, like, yelling. And it was a lot different.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no. I mean, it was, like, pretty much, like, they'd yell if the house was on fire. You know, like, there was no yelling. And I will occasionally, like, raise my voice, you know, like, now, you know, like, sometimes you have to, like, in the situations I'm in. Like, I'll be with a family of 5 that they're all, like, fighting and stuff. And I really can't do it without getting a little emotionally dysregulated.
Really?
Right, yeah, because, like, I never really...
Yeah, it wasn't partying.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think a big part of ours is, like, basically the whole family has ADHD, and that's kind of something that comes along with it.
Sure.
The short fuse temper, like the not really being able to regulate your emotions because you're taking so much in, and then eventually you just hit like a breaking point.
Right,
And
right.
A lot of that undiagnosed stuff kind of came involved.
Yeah,
Like-
absolutely.
Like my brother, he has to take meds because I don't know. He's not really a yeller, but he's to where he'll just start buying random stuff, and there's no
Right,
real
there he doesn't
regulation.
have the breaks
Yeah.
for that. Yeah, no, I think that there is some of that in my family too. but it can come across differently for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I will occasionally do that too. Like I'm like why? Like I don't even remember that I had this.
Yeah,
and I'm like looking through stuff or whatever.
Mm-hmm. So do you see a lot of stuff like that when you're helping families and stuff? Like, is there any time where you meet a kid that has those, like, I'm gonna fight my dad, or just the yelling, or?
Yeah, I mean the families that we work with, I mean, things went so wrong that the kids were removed from their parents' care a lot of times. The kids that we work with that are involved with the criminal justice system, I mean, I cannot think of one, and that there wasn't like something like that, like you were saying before, like there wasn't some generational trauma or trauma, but like nothing that can't be fixed. I always feel like that. Like there's always like a way to see like the strength in it. Even like the strength in ADD or ADHD, or there are some strengths even with like the family being away from each other. Like like there's like ways to grow separately and then like grow together. So I mean we always just have to, and I don't like to use the word positive, or negative. Like, I don't like to describe things as good or bad, because I think we're really channeling, into like one path or another. And that's not true. Like, there's so many paths and there's so much potential that getting involved in binary thinking is something, that we all kind of have to work on. I mean, just look at our like political
right. Yeah.
system, right? But if we don't want to get stuck in one or two ruts. But yeah, I do see that. I see a lot of ADHD, ADD. I mean, of course, people talk a lot now about like neurodivergent, can include that and like some other stuff that's going on. And, what we have to do is just like the best with what we have. I also see, and this is, you haven't asked me about this, but one thing that I see like all the time, and it's really hard to address it because we're addressing so much other stuff, is just that people aren't really eating.
Really?
Right. Like they're not really like feeding their brain, and
just a bunch of like junk and.
Yeah. Like and that's hard. And I mean, and I'm not seeing them like all the time. But I mean, in many of the families I work with, they just don't really eat like, like nutritional food and like what like human beings should be eating.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of joke around about this a little bit, but it's true. I mean, I would like always ask my kids like, well, what would like the caveman eat? And I was way before the paleo diet, but like just thinking about that, like what would just like you basically eat if you were like a caveman? I mean, they would eat anything they could get their hands on, probably, but
like meat and vegetables and fruits and
grains, nuts. I mean, we have this whole story that I used to tell my kids, like a pecan or like a walnut. I'm like, it sort of looks like your brain because it's good for your brain.
Yeah, right.
Like, just remember, like, you need to like eat stuff that's nutritional and that's like serving a purpose for your body.
I saw it online. I saw it once and it stuck with me. It's GERF.
Okay.
Or JERF. Just eat real food.
Oh, I like that.
So if it's like chips, things like that, it's not real food. So eggs, meat.
Right.
Like you said, things that a caveman would eat.
Right.
So if you want to eat healthy, JERF. Just eat real food. Not all this processed and even canned food has no nutritional value. Soups, it's just they promote it like it's going to be super healthy, and it's just all salt and nothing good.
It's so salty.
Yeah,
like everything is so salty. Yeah, like the only thing you should really be buying and eating from a can is like, in kind of like a emergency or like convenience type of thing.
Yeah.
I know. It's hard. It's like, it's definitely, there's so much convenient food out there. And I was thinking about this like the other day, is that I used to, I had a guy that we would do a lot of stuff at the Capitol together. And he was like really sensitive to like chemicals and those kinds of things. And he's like, I just don't eat anything that has more than 3 ingredients. Like, you know, if it comes out of a box or a bag or something. And I always thought that was like a good way to do it. Like you say, like it's still chips. There probably are chips that are just like potatoes and salt or potatoes, oil, and salt. Like it's not the greatest thing you can be eating, but it's not poisoning you.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like, it is junk food, but it's not poison. I mean, some of this stuff is literally like poisoning.
Oh,
people.
yeah. And then we wonder why all the cancer and where the cancer comes from. And a lot of people, we're eating poison a lot of the times.
Right? Our body's just fighting.
Yeah.
And then what we're eating, and then it just can't fight the cancer that's everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's really interesting to think about that because I remember one time I had a friend that came out and was doing like Ride the Rockies. And he was just like, I think it's like really interesting how you just like eat weird stuff. And I'm like what? You know, and I like drove him to the start of the race and then at the end of the race drove him back. And then like drove his car like the whole time, like all around Denver. I was like, but I'm like what? And he's like you'll just like eat a tomato. You'll just eat an avocado. Like you'll just eat like a boiled egg. But like that is kind of like what you were thinking, like what you were saying. Yeah. Like that is just like a whole food. Like literally eating an avocado is a whole food. You don't have to just like, you know, choke it down. Like you can put salt and pepper on it. That's fine.
Right. And that's funny that he considers that
But he just
weird.
thought that was kind of weird.
So
Yeah.
you're not eating chips or nothing. You're just over here eating vegetables and fruit. It's so weird.
Well, and I mean, and I remember like when we were driving, you know, I have like my little cooler. Like, do you want an apple? Like, do you want a clementine? You know, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. It's like you eat the weirdest stuff. It's like it's real food.
Yeah, and I think that we're just like really accustomed to people eating like chips and stuff. And don't get me wrong, like I love Taco Bell. I like when people say I never eat McDonald's or anything like that. Like whenever I go with a family that they want to have family time at McDonald's, like I seriously every single time I'm like, gee, I like.
See, that's the one
I
thing.
would like to get, but I don't. Like
Yeah,
I just get a cup
I don't
of.
anymore. I can't do McDonald's.
Yeah, I'll get a black coffee.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I stopped eating
That's
McDonald's
totally
a few
fine.
years ago.
Yeah.
Taco Bell though, I'll eat Taco Bell. That's one of the things where I'm like, all right,
Every once in a while, it's not gonna.
I don't do
kill
the
you.
meat or anything from there though. Like I'll do like the spicy potato taco because it's just potatoes in a soft shell with
Yeah.
some sauce on it.
What about the bowl? Do you ever do the bowl, the veggie power bowl? I've done that a couple times.
My go-to is always the bean and cheese, the bean and rice burrito, like bean and cheese and rice burrito, and then just the spicy potato taco soft shells.
Yeah, that
And then
was.
even then after, I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have ate that. My body just doesn't feel right after it.
Oh really? Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't. What I find that like makes me not feel good now is any like sugar thing.
Yeah.
Like I went to the farmer's market the other day and I was like hot. It's like super hot outside. It was Saturday. It was Sunday. I was like super hot outside. I'm like feel like really thirsty. And so I got like a dragon fruit like lemonade and I just felt horrible after
Yeah.
I drank it
And
because of all the sugar.
yeah, the sugar, it kills me too. And I noticed that when you don't eat all the processed sugar, everything tastes so much sweeter. Like when
That's
you eat
true.
an orange, it's like candy, or you eat like grape,
Right.
it's like
Right.
once you get that processed sugar out of your body, it's like everything
Right.
is so sweet. Like
Yeah.
I had sweet potato fries, and I was like, I used to hate them, and I tried it again, and I was like, dude, these are like actual sweet. I've never.
Right. Yeah.
You don't really understand how good some stuff is because
No,
you've just
that's
got all
true.
that processed sweetness in you.
Yeah.
And now like oranges or strawberry, everything is just so much. It's almost like eating candy.
That's true. I do notice that too. Yeah, I don't do a lot of sugar. I do eat dairy
Yeah.
because sometimes the dairy will start to taste kind of sweet too. Like
Yeah.
after you've gotten rid of the sugar dragon. Like sometimes milk will taste sweet, stuff like that.
Yeah. I'll do not much like milk and stuff, but cheese and things like that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not a milk drinker, but I love cottage cheese.
Really? See, it's so good for you. I need to get into it, but I just can't do it. I don't know. I honestly don't even know what it tastes like. I
You
think
don't
just
know what it tastes like?
Just the look and the texture. I'm huge on texture.
Right.
It just looks so. I need to get better at it because it's so good for you.
Is it
it's
really?
full of protein. Yeah, like it's a huge thing for working out. Is you
Like my kind of go-to, like if I like feel like I'm really hungry, and I have a friend that says like don't say you're starving, like you've never been starving.
I know. I try not to do it too, but I'm like, I don't know, I'm not. I agree.
But yeah, I'll just eat like a spoonful of cottage cheese, and then like if I'm working from home, I'm trying to I got to finish this, and then I'll go make my lunch or whatever. I'll just go get a spoonful of cottage cheese.
Yeah, it's so good for you. That's.
And I eat it right out of the container too.
Really? See, I need to get better at it. I just can't. Something about it. I can't do it. So
Well, you could try like cottage cheese and pineapple or something. See how you like it.
yeah, there's also I saw something where you put like the powdered peanut butter in it.
See, I'm not a peanut butter person, but that actually is, I bet, pretty good.
Really?
Yeah.
What is it? What is it? Is it like sour or what does it even taste like?
It
Cottage
just
cheese.
tastes like, it has
Lumpy?
a little bit of a creamy taste.
Really? That's not. Huh.
It's very bland.
Is it?
Yeah, and like some people like it more savory, like put salt and pepper on it or like tahini on it or something.
I just always
some
assumed
people
it'd be
put-
like a sour milk taste because isn't it like chunky?
Yeah, it is curdled,
Mm-hmm.
The
But it doesn't have
curds.
like that taste.
No.
Oh, see,
not
I always
really.
just
And
assumed
I
it'd
like
be like
the
a,
large curd.
really.
And they're like, if you get a better one, like don't just buy like the Kroger generic brand, but like if you get one that's like better brand, like an organic type, it definitely tastes different. Tastes better.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to try it.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys have a Natural Grocers or Whole
Oh, yeah.
Foods or
Yeah, we've
whatever.
got Sprouts, all of that.
Oh, Sprouts. Yeah, Sprouts has a pretty good selection.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to try it. So check where we are at. Yeah, before we do wrap up and everything, I want to touch on. You said you're into gun. What is the new thing?
Oh, so my I'll be working now more focusing on gun violence interruption. So, gun violence, like everybody knows what it is. But like kind of what interrupts gun violence a lot of times is keeping people like out of gangs. Is one thing, or group involvement, I think, is a better term to use. That, like, just if you're ever, like, running around with kids, that have guns, then you're going to start carrying a gun, too. And then, everything can escalate from there.
Yeah.
And so gun violence interruption can look like a lot of different things. But what I'll be doing mainly is just like when people are starting to kind of be on the radar that they're involved with other people that have been in trouble for guns or been involved in shootings or present at a shooting or, like all of that stuff. Just start getting them like going down a different path.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and there's a lot of community partners, and that's kind of what I love about that work is like all the community partners, and they're because just being part of community is just so important. And I've always just been natural kind of networking type person. I meet a guy at Taco Bell that says, oh yeah, my daughter's going to be in the soccer tournament next week. And then, you know what I mean? I just make all these connections. I've just naturally been that way. And so it's kind of, hey, this kid goes to Aurora Central, this kid does too, this guy goes to Hinckley, those kinds of things. Let's find somebody, around there, a center of influence that's willing to help out. And, one of the things that we do, too, is just, scaring people straight doesn't work.
No, not really.
But, just sort of what you were saying about, your psychedelic use, right? It just sort of, took the ego out of it.
Yeah.
And there are ways to do that aren't using psychedelics.
Yeah, right.
And just kind of get kids like say like, well, this is like this great potential that you have, like, right? Like you can still be a rapper. And it was funny, like I was telling you about today that I was in the place where they have the studio to do podcasts. Like you could do a podcast, you could talk about this, you could make music about this, you can make art, like you can get your, commercial driver's license. You love driving, well, like you can drive and get paid for it,
Right.
like all those kinds of things, and just get those same feelings of like having purpose and being part of something important, being part of a group that doesn't involve violence.
Yeah.
And it's hard because, community partners, I think we have to be like really open about that. Like, who are our community partners, right? Like, it sometimes is faith-based. It might be people that are from a church or people that are associated with, a different like religious group or whatever. And, I enjoy that too. Like, that really is what diversity is, right?
Yeah.
It's not just having, like, is it diversity if you have a black person, a brown person, an Asian person, and a white person that they all went to Harvard? Like,
Right.
is that diversity?
Right.
Or is it, like, diversity when you have, like, a Christian and a Muslim and, like, all of those things? Like, I think that a lot of these families that I've met so far doing this have been affected by gun violence, like, since the parents have too. So, and sometimes, you read the paper or, it's not really a paper, but you read online. A lot of times people that are involved with gun violence, it's just like wrong place, wrong time. Mm-hmm. But they're still sort of associated with those people. Like, it's like part of a community, right?
Yeah.
We've got people running around with guns. So, I'd like to look at it like everybody that lives in an urban area or lives in a place where shootings happen, that like everybody can kind of be part of that, right? Like everybody needs to be thinking about it. Not like looking over your shoulder for somebody with a gun, but just like looking over your shoulder for somebody that's like headed down that path of getting in trouble. And feeling like how I belong and how I matter is that I have a gun or that I'm part of this group of kids that carry guns.
Yep.
Because really that's all it is.
Yeah.
It's just, it's not easy to solve it, but it's like simple when you sort of break down what's really happening.
Mm-hmm. See, when I was growing up, that's one of the reasons I started my nonprofit, is kind of for that too, is to give kids a role model to where they don't want to go down that path. Because I had my first gun when I was 15, I think. My friend gave me one. And then I bought a gun off of somebody when I was probably like 17 or 18, and it was completely filed off. It had been thrown before, which means it had been used. Mm-hmm. And I was hanging out with gangsters. Like, my friends my friends were gangsters.
Right.
For some reason, I wanted to be a gangster so bad. Because I think it was, I just wanted to be strong, and I felt I looked up to that as like, these are they're strong, not realizing that they're some of the weakest, like, insecure people. That's why they are what they are. Yeah. And so I definitely understand wanting to be or hanging out with that friend group, because
exactly.
And if that's what you want to be, or if that's who you're hanging out with, I got to get a gun. Right. I gotta have something on me. All right. If I'm gonna be living this type of life, I've got to have. Right,
and stuff can just go wrong like so fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm so grateful that there's been things to where I could probably still be in. Well, for sure, I'd still be in prison, or if there were things that popped off to where.
Oh yeah.
It could have been so bad, and that's why I brought you on too, because I see you doing the things that I want to do.
Right. You definitely can be part of that work, Mm-hmm. I don't know what's going on, like, in every part of Colorado. And it does kind of get, like, political and, like, divided and all of those things because, for a lot of reasons, right? Like, a lot of people, like, gun ownership and everything isn't, like, what we're talking about here. But sometimes that, like, becomes, like, part of the conversation. Mm-hmm. Like, you just want to take everyone's guns away.
Yeah. See, yeah. I'm not for that.
Right,
for sure.
Right. The people that we want to be, we don't want kids to have guns.
Yeah.
But the main thing is that we don't want, like, young men especially. We're starting to see more girls involved. I have worked with a couple girls that like had a plan, to shoot somebody or, had a gun or those kinds of things. But what we want like kids to have like a place where like you kind of have that containment, that, I hate to use the term like masculine containment, but like that's sort of like.
See, I'm big on the masculine thing. I feel like that's been pulled away from society and it's made it just so much.
Right. Yeah. It's
toxic masculine. No, you need that masculinity.
Like the good, like solid, like protective type of thing. And I think that is part of like this being attracted to guns, and I don't know like as much about it as I should. Like I'm, an infant, in this role. But I think that is part of it. Like, right? Like we want to be, feel protected, like that we protect other people, like we look out for other people, like those kinds of things, and I think that the gun thing, it has a lot of emotion like attached to it that can be provided in other ways that are safer. Yeah. And be one of the, people that people look up to and that they can like be real about that. I remember like I would like work with kids sometimes that they would say like at the end of it, like at the end of our time together, that the thing that was always kind of missing is that they couldn't even have those conversations because they like didn't have like a place to like sort of learn how to have those conversations, like talk about your feelings. Like it's sort of like it's just kind of like this pot that's boiling over that like you hear like the rattly lid clacking away, but like you don't really know like what to do with it or that it's just always there, and I think sometimes with this like gun violent situation, I mean, some of these kids think that like that's part of like an identity that they want to have, right? Yeah, not just somebody that carries a gun, but like somebody that will use it if they need to. Yeah. So, I mean, that's what they're, working on. And it, like I say, it can get like a little political at times, I'm sure. I haven't really ran into that yet. But like the community partners, I just can't believe like their passion for that. And it really is saving lives. Yeah.
And I think giving kids something like this, and that's one of the reasons I want to do it is because I can relate and be an actual like masculine role model to where it's like, dude, I've carried guns, I was in a drive-by, I've gone through all the drugs, like I've done things that a kid shouldn't do by the time they're 18. Right. It's a lot cooler to be able to talk about things and to do something like this and help people than it is to carry a gun and think you're a gangster. Right. Like gangsters, that's not what tough is. I thought that's what tough is. I thought that's what being a man was. Right. But men don't run in gangs. Men don't need a bunch of people surrounding them. Men don't need to think, oh, I'll shoot somebody. Right. And you can have like these, like people like when they're on teams, like sports teams, that male camaraderie and all that. I mean, I think that's really important. I think it's really good. But I think that sometimes these kids with the group involvement, it's just that they're kind of missing something, and I think that you could provide that for sure, and help people like connect with each other. And I mean, there's definitely like professional like protocols and all of that, but I don't think that necessarily has to be a barrier. Yeah. Like it's just sort of like a guardrail, that you definitely have to pass background checks and stuff like that to work with kids. But like lived experience, is huge. See, luckily all my stuff, I was very smart. My background's perfectly clean. Yeah. I got some stuff when I was a kid. I got caught with a gun when I was younger, but all that's right. Gone. And nobody's really worried about that, right? Like as much. I mean, it's more like adult crimes or like crimes against children or, those kinds of things. But yeah, I think that that's definitely like something you could think about doing and start, moving towards, as part of what your nonprofit does, for sure. That's one of the goals with this podcast is bring awareness, help people, bring in money so that we can actually do more for people and actually start helping kids, the bad kids, realize that there's more that they can be doing. You're not bad.
Right.
You don't have to run with gangs. You don't have to carry guns. You can actually feel good about yourself and not
Right.
feel like I've got to be this because my father's this or my uncle's
Right.
in a gang, so I got to do.
Right.
There's a lot of people that are going down a similar path that I went down that won't have that turnaround. And
Right. And you just never know.
yeah, and I didn't have anyone to help me. I didn't have anybody to like look out for me, and I want to be the person that I didn't have in people's lives. So a big part of the podcast is bring awareness, let people see the other side, so that they can be like, oh, I actually know someone like that. Maybe I should reach out, or I've seen this kid acting this certain way.
Right.
I just figured they were bad, so maybe I should talk to them and try to figure out what's going on.
Right.
And then use this to help branch off, bring awareness, and then just make it as big and help as many people as
Right.
possible.
Yeah, I think that like makes a lot of sense. And even if you have kids that like there wasn't a lot that went on, that everything's kind of okay at home, they have a good relationship with their dad, like someone like your son, or like, I'd like to think like my son, we always need those other adults.
Mm-hmm.
Like it really, I don't like want to say it takes a village, but like we all benefit so much from community, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just the synergy of that. I mean, I remember, like when I was growing up, I like remember some of the kids that I hung out with, like that their moms that like I liked talking to, that took an interest in us. It's just like so important for kids just to have like good adults. And like I met this guy that the company that I work for started 25 years ago in Pennsylvania. I always get confused, like which is the state and which is the city, which is like really pathetic. But
I mean, I do the same.
but he just says that like, and he talks about that. He's like, the biggest thing for me was just like being around like normal adults. Mm-hmm. Like his parents were like, pretty good, but then they got divorced and, there was just like a lot of family tension and everything. Just being like around an adult that's like, yeah, like you're going to be okay. Like kids that come from divorced homes, like I was one, whatever they said, just kind of, and I mean, I really wasn't one.
Oh,
but
I get what you're saying. Oh.
But yeah, and I remember like we kind of trauma bond with people. Sometimes, and sometimes that could be great, right? Like that can be like this relationship, you have this special bond with that person and it's not toxic, but most of the time it's toxic. So like you have this group of boys that's running around that everybody's dad is like in jail or, on drugs or alcohol, like that's just kind of absentee fathers. Like that's not good. Like they're not going to help each other.
Right. It's usually going to turn into something bad.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think that is definitely something you could work towards. And like I say, I don't know what people are doing like in this part of the world, but
You mean like Greeley?
Yeah.
Greeley is a big gang. There's a lot of kids that need help here.
Yeah, and so definitely doing some gun violence interruption stuff, I think would be, and people will like fight about like what it is. Like that's not even GVI, that is GVI. That like start getting like jargony and acronymy, but I think that
or something, or
yeah.
And then some people get used to prison. They come out and they're like, I'd rather the structure's better. They like the structure.
Thinking.
Yeah.
Well, it might have been the only time that they ever had structure.
And they come out here and they're like, I can just be too wild. I can't do it.
No, and like I remember like when I was growing up, I don't know what it's like now, but like kids would go to military school. Do you kind of know about that?
I know. I've heard about it just from people talking on like podcasts and stuff.
And I don't even think that we have them anymore, really, so it probably wasn't a great thing. But like people going to military school, going into the military, like the day you graduate from high school, I mean, and I think that people do kind of need that structure.
Yeah. When I went to juvie when I was a kid for like 45 days because I got caught stealing shoes, and then I just kept smoking weed, and I was like, I'll go to jail for weed, I don't care, and I did. And then, but they took me out of like the actual juvie prison type thing, and they put me in like this halfway house thing, and there was no structure, and I ended up getting kicked out right away because there was no structure.
Right.
I needed that. Like, all right, this is what we're doing. You can't get in trouble here, or you're gonna get in real trouble. The other one was run by like college kids and stuff. I ended up getting into a fight, and
they kicked you out.
Yeah, they kicked me out right away.
I don't know much about it. Like, I have done some restorative justice stuff with kids that were like juvenile offenders before. Before I worked like in the social worker end of, the criminal justice system. But I've had a couple kids that they went to, the juvenile detention center. And like I would go visit them, and like they love like seeing me and everything like that. And like I always like bring them snacks. Like they kind of let us just be like free with feeding them or whatever. But I had a couple of kids that they didn't like it, that they were missing out on whatever they were doing.
Oh, I hated I hated it, but I just couldn't. Something about not having that structure wall in it.
Yeah, no, they kind of liked the structure, They like playing, and they would be like, oh, it's basketball at this time, so don't come when it's basketball. Like, I get that.
Yeah.
But even when I'd come, like, during school or dinner or something, they didn't like it. Like, they was like being part of the group and not getting pulled out,
I totally understand that, but like I remember my mom coming to visit during movie time, and I was like, dude, it's
like,
movie
it's
time. What are you doing? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, I gotta go.
Yeah, and I always I feel weird about advising parents about it. Like I never know what to tell parents. Like I don't want them to be like, don't visit them, but like try to like be open to like when's a good time to come.
Yeah, see, I was lucky.
When they're going to be receptive to seeing you.
I only got a very short month and a half. I got off, when I got out, I was off probation, so it wasn't really crazy
so that's
to me.
good that they let you be off probation.
Because when my lawyer first walked up, she's all, they want to put you in for 2 years, and I was just like, no, oh my God. And then she's all, give me a second, which I know now is because it's all like friends stuff. And they're all, hey, why don't you give this kid a lighter sentence? He seems sad. So she comes back, 45 days off paper. Okay. I was like, I'm so, 2 years, it would have been a whole different thing.
Right.
I feel like I would have turned into, it would have
made you a bad kid.
I think
it would have made you worse. I think that there really is like something that we kind of lose. Like we know, we've done millions and millions of dollars worth of research on what dosage and duration is for kids and for adults, right? And the system.
Yeah.
Like this is what's going to work. This is how much probation is going to help. This is how much treatment is going to help. Like whatever treatment is. But it's a capitalist system, right?
Yep.
So it's like
you get more money the longer.
Keep paying. And I mean, really, like people on probation are paying like a lot of money.
Oh yeah,
thousands of dollars.
I've been on probation a couple times. It's nuts how much you end up having to pay for UAs, for visit, for all the different things.
And people don't like realize that. Like a lot of people like out in the world, like I think we just like don't really know. Like if you've never been on probation, you don't really get that they're paying every time they do a UA or how inconvenient it is too.
Yeah.
Like it's not like you can just go get a UA every Saturday. Obviously, that's not going to work.
Right.
You could still use and get away with it. So they're random.
You got to call, and then they tell you a color. If your color is called, then you have to go in, and it's like $20 each time, multiple times a week.
Yeah, minimum of $20 each time. Yeah. And there's like some places that are more expensive and some places that are less and some places that are open till 10 at night. And, like it's like this whole huge thing. I mean, I would do visits with families that would get called for a UA. And I'm like, yeah, just tell them that like you had your visit and like blah, 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 blah. And I would assume that that's okay, but like I don't really know.
No, not at all.
You know what I mean?
Probation's like, oh yeah, that's just an excuse. You still got to do it.
Yeah. Oh, I know. And like sometimes like I'll have like really good relationships with like the probation people and like the judges and stuff like that. And then sometimes I think that they think that like I'm like
helping out or what?
Right. Like well, in that like I kind of am getting a whiff of like what they're doing is not like what we should be doing.
No, it's all a friend thing. Like like the way the lawyer just walked up, because I've seen a bunch of stuff where it's like, come on, just give them this short of time. No, I need.
Right.
They're doing this.
No,
Like, come on, just hook
that,
me up. And like, all right, since it's you, I'll give them a last time.
No, that is so funny that you say that. So there was this woman that I worked with when I was like at a task force, when I worked in law enforcement, that she was an FBI agent and she is now a judge, and I won't say what county. And I'm in court one day and she's like, what are you doing here? You know, and I'm like, oh, this is my client, blah, blah, blah. So then at the kind of like they're talking about what they're going to do to this kid. And then she's like, what do you think should happen? And I said, I think everything should be dismissed. Like she's she's been like working with me for like 6 months. You know, I don't think she's going to commit like any crimes again. Like the root cause of it is like, we're working on it. She's going to keep working on it. You know, she's doing other kinds of therapy, you know, whatever. And so she's like, okay, like I'll dismiss everything.
Yep.
Right. So like I'm walking out and I almost got like pushed down by, I'm not sure like what her role exactly was, but like, you know, supposedly like child advocate. It's like, this kid isn't like learning the lesson. By their case getting dismissed. It's like she's already learned the lesson.
Right.
Like she's learned the lesson.
Yeah.
Like we've been going to court like off and on for a year. Like, come on.
It's crazy how the system actually works.
Yeah.
You think it's like, oh, there's rule. No, it's just friends and colleagues and, hey, why don't you let this one off? Or no, I gotta hit my numbers on this one. I can't. Yeah. It's not what they say it is. It's more of, why don't you do me a favor on this one? All right, cool. We'll let them
No,
off.
and I remember that like the first time that I ever went to like a deposition, I was like in college, and I remember the lawyer. Like we talk beforehand, but then when you go, it's like your lawyer is sort of like acts like they're adversarial. Do you know what I mean? Like your own lawyer, and like the other lawyer from the other side that had acted all nice is like kind of like. And I remember I was just like, so like, what is going on? Like they're psychopaths.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that word then, but I remember I was so like I was embarrassed at how naive I was. Like all of a sudden they're just like being like, you know, oh, well, isn't it true that, and it was like a whole thing where they like sort of made up a story, I think, to sort of upset me. And like, I'm like, what is going on? Like, this is crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy
and who
to
would
see it on
do
the
that?
other side.
Like, I would never do that to somebody.
Right.
I even think about that. Like, I have a friend that stopped being a probation officer because of like just couldn't handle it, like how dishonest it was and how they're ripping people off and everything. And he was like kind of telling me about like some of the stuff, and I'm like, yeah, like sometimes you have to quit your evil job. Like you can't always just be like a good person in a bad place.
Right.
Like where you're just always standing up against the man all the time. Like eventually they're going to force you out anyway.
Oh yeah. Eventually, that's why there's I know there's the bad cops and then there's the good cops, but a lot of times the good cops that stand up against the bad cops just end up getting forced out of the stuff because
I mean, I saw when I worked at, you know, like as a contractor, like at one police department, and I worked for a police department. I worked at Division of Criminal Justice. This is my theory. I'm not saying it's right. It's all anecdotal. I would say 70% of people. And I've done a lot of different things. I'm like, catch me if you can. Like, I've done a lot of different careers. 70% of people, if they have a good boss, a good leader, ethical person, everything, they're going to be good, ethical, be in touch with their moral compass. If it's okay to do that, I would say 70% of people will do that. Okay? I would say there's always like 10% of people that they're sort of like, yeah, this is how my boss is, but I always know me. I know my moral compass. I know my thing, whatever. And it might be they're maybe more on a spiritual path. They're just more of an independent thinker for whatever reasons, you know. And I'm not saying that they're always good, because I'd say there's about 10% of people that they're like, I always just sort of am like, it's all about me, and I like to like screw people over and stuff like that. I mean, I think that a lot of times we have politicians that kind of fit in that category and that good category, the more harmers. And then I think that there's like about 10% of people, they're not really like living in the same world, like the same society. I mean, when we're just talking about like normal, intelligently abled people here. We're not talking about anybody that's like intellectually disabled or like has serious mental health. But I think there are some people that they're just sort of like doing their own thing. They don't even really know who the president is exactly. Like there is like a bigger and bigger swath of those people. So they're just doing that. They're not really affecting a lot of stuff. And they're probably not even like employed for very long at the place, right? Have you ever worked somewhere there's just kind of these weird people that come and go?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, for sure.
Right. So what happens to the 70% when you have like a total piece of shit in charge?
They just follow the leader, basically.
Right. Like I want to go home at night. I want to maybe make overtime sometimes. I want to be able to pay my mortgage, my car payment. I don't want to have to be looking for another job. Like,
Yep.
and sometimes they're like that just because they have like we were talking about, like kind of like they don't feel like they have a safety net. You know, they don't feel like they have like that dad that's going to say, yeah, I'll pay your mortgage until you go find your, you know, joy.
Right.
Right. And like, I didn't have that, you know.
No.
Like, so that's who they are. And I mean, I saw that in the police department like all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I saw people that I worked with that they went to a different shift or a different division or whatever, and they were kind of changed. And I think we all play roles. Like sometimes you might play the dark cloud, and I might play the champion. You know, like let's say we get in the gun violence world together, we're working on stuff. There might be days where you're like, yeah, I'm tired of these people. I don't feel good about this. I think we should go a new direction. And it might be my time to be like, yeah, come on, like we could do this. We could go in a new direction.
Right.
You know? But sometimes the champion has to be tipped off by the dark cloud, you know? But I just see that like a lot in like just society is that people just go along to get along. And we need like more of us to be like, you're going to be okay if you do the right thing.
Yeah.
You're going to be okay if you're like looking to the future, which is kids, right? And that you do have time. You have as much time as you want to do what you need to be doing.
Yeah.
You know, and I really respect you for saying that. Like that you get that you have to make time while your son is still little to be with him.
Yeah.
You know, like you're making time for the formative years.
Yeah.
And he has all that, and you have his like undivided attention now. And you're right, like you won't always have that. Like that making the most of it is really important.
At some point, that there's that time where it's just not, it's not cool anymore. Parents aren't cool anymore.
Right. That's just a part of development, right? Because as like a human species, we gotta like keep going.
Yeah.
You know, we have to make our own families at some point.
Yeah.
Or not, but you know, like we don't just stay with parents forever.
Right.
Well, that's cool. Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. So do you want me to keep this?
I thought that that's where you knew. I thought that that's where you knew me.
No. Wait a minute. Southern Colorado Cannabis Council. What is this?
So that is that. I mean, it's not my nonprofit, but I have been part of that nonprofit for like probably 10 or 12 years. I thought that's where you might know me from.
What is the Cannabis Council? Do you guys...
So we do all of this stuff like that has to do with medical marijuana.
So you're advocates for it?
Yeah. So I was like...
I had no idea that you were part of that. It's awesome.
So I kind of like came from like the law enforcement against prohibition people.
Oh.
Right? I was always like, even when I worked in like the gang world, I'd be like, okay, so like if we legalize all the drugs.
Right? Oh, and we didn't even touch on any of that.
We're going to have a lot less to fight about.
Right? Yeah.
And we're going to have a lot less to beef about. And also, I mean, you know, when I was a kid growing up, you know, the drug dealer would sell drugs to us. Like the dispensary won't sell the drugs to kids. Like
right.
That's one good thing about dispensaries, right? So I mean, I was always like very like pro legalization and was probably involved in it since like 1990. I know that sounds crazy.
Really?
I know. You're like...
I wish I would have looked at the card sooner, to be honest.
You're like,
we didn't touch on any of this?
Yeah, we should have Jason Worf, the executive director.
Yeah.
From there, yeah. He's like running around, like he just mountain hikes and mountain bikes, maybe. I don't know what he does, but he's like literally like hiking for like a month.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, but he is like, I was, one time I was at the Capitol, like working on some bill, and all the cop cars are like parked, like literally on the hill that the state capitol sits on, and I'm like, what is this? And they do that, you know, and I had worked for the cops before and stuff, but, you know, I think I was still working for the police. I think I was there to help work on a bill that had to do, like, when you get out of jail, that you still have your medication. Like, you don't have to decompensate from your meds, like, you know, and like, and a lot of times, like, people go to halfway houses and they just start getting worse because they're not taking their medication. And sometimes they have stuff that just, like, helps, like, normal medication, like, that's not psychotropic meds, like their CPAP machine or whatever, you know, just like all of those things kind of need to follow people when they go to a halfway house or when they're transitioning home, right? So I think that's what I was at the Capitol for, and it was about in like 2013, and the cops had like parked all over the lawn and everything, and so I'm like, what are they doing? And the cops were there to testify that you can't be a private investigator unless you're like a retired cop. Which is like so silly. Who cares who a private investigator is, right? And I mean, you and I could probably do more private investigation stuff on our phone than you used to be able to do like 20 years ago at all. Like we can all like research people. Like you just start getting smart about it, you know, without even paying for like LexisNexis and all of those extra programs. So I'm like, oh, I'm just going to testify against the cops while I'm here.
So that's why they were against you getting those classes.
So it was kind of funny. I met the executive director of that day. Like, why would you do that? Like you're like, you know, kind of like involved in the justice system, but you're like standing up for like these private investigators. Or like, just because like we just have to stand up for like common sense things.
Yeah.
The cops do it. Like, you know, the police, like, have, like, this great purpose. This isn't it.
Yeah, right.
It's be like a little narrow purpose.
Yeah.
Stay in your lane, guys.
For real.
But it was kind of, and I think that, and I also am not, as a taxpayer, I'm not, like, thrilled for them all to be there in their uniform and in their cop car.
Right.
Like, take a day off and show up in your suit, like I did.
We got the whole task force here. Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, so that's how I got involved with those guys. And I mean, I'm a huge believer in cannabis as medicine.
That is awesome. I wish I would have looked at it sooner. I didn't even...
And
I was like, wait a minute. So
that's how I thought that you knew me.
Really? So is it from, like, mutual friends that we have?
Must be. Yeah, it must be.
Huh. Yeah, I had no idea that you were into this at all.
Yeah, well, and I can pass a drug test, you know, because of my work now. But I do think that people should be able to use cannabis that work with kids and all of that, but you can't.
Really?
There's still, like, that concern. You know what I mean?
So as long if you're doing it, like, officially the way you do it? Because, I mean, for my nonprofit, I could do... Yeah, you wouldn't have to be, like, drug tested or whatever. Yeah. No, I one time was the board director of, I was a chairman for a human trafficking like organization, and we really got some people on the board that wanted everybody to be drug tested. It's like, yeah, like, you know, I'm just going to make a motion to kick you off the board. Yeah, see, I'm a firm believer that adults should be able to do what they want. You should be able to tell if someone's a drug addict that can't handle their stuff, or like if someone goes out and parties and that night they want to do some Molly or they want to do some. That is absolutely none of my business.
Like, this definitely should not be part of the podcast, but